I went in there, I did one take and I did another take, and then that was it. And then a couple of weeks later, do you want to fill in some blanks
I
here?
mean, we got some big news.
Yeah.
Like, he booked a bigger role that he didn't even audition for.
Yeah, out of the blue.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to today's episode of Talent Agent Talk, where we are featuring educational lessons and real-life stories behind the scenes of TV and film. I'm your host and talent agent, Jason Lockhart, and I am here with a badass guest today, Davis Shae.
Hello, everybody. How's it going, Jason?
Oh, dude, I'm so glad to have you here.
This is awesome.
We can just shoot the shit about life and acting and all of your success.
And yours.
Well, this is really about you because, I'll never forget when I first, had an agent actor meeting with you, and you were like, submit me for anything, any role, anywhere in the country. I'll be a local hire. I just want to work.
Yeah.
Do you remember that mindset?
Oh, I still live in that mindset to an extent, but I definitely remember I feel like we kind of grew up in Atlanta together. We kind of like rose at the same time, and it was because we both kind of shared this philosophy of let's just say yes to everything and be appreciative and be humble and just lead with gratitude. And then we just started working together absolutely nonstop when I really hadn't worked together. I really hadn't worked much the 5 years prior to you arriving at the agency. So it definitely was a nice synergistic kind of boost that we kind of developed together. And I just followed your lead and went with it. And you've led my career in this amazing direction that I couldn't be more thankful for.
Well, you crushed everything with hard work and positivity. And it led to a big booking that I want to talk about.
Yeah.
It led to working with Clint Eastwood on Richard Jewell. What was that audition like? Do you remember it?
Yeah. I mean, that whole experience was the most surreal moment of my life thus far. It all started with an in-person audition, ironically, which is rare for Atlanta. And the casting directors were Paris Feldstein, Chase and Tara. They're two of my favorite casting directors in town. We work together a lot. And Wes, another actor in town, was taping at his studio. And so I was going in for AT&T guy because I was like, yeah, that sounds great. With Clint Eastwood, I'll say nothing and just be happy to be there. So I went in there. I did one take and I did another take, and then that was it. And then a couple of weeks later, do you want to fill in some blanks here?
I mean, we got some big news.
Yeah.
Like, he booked a bigger role that he didn't even audition for.
Yeah, out of the blue. And it was Olivia Wilde's partner at the newspaper. So literally all of my scenes in the movie were with this giant, gorgeous, beautiful movie star. And I just was in awe. And then not to mention, Clint Eastwood was directing the whole thing. It was just, every day on set was just a pinch me moment. I couldn't believe it. There would be times in between scenes where it would be me, Clint, and Olivia sitting in 3 chairs talking about the film industry. And Clint was talking about stuff like the difference between digital and film. And he's like, I don't give a shit. He's like, it looks the same. Why shoot on film if you don't have to? Shoot on digital. Make it look like film. Like, he was just so cool. And then it's all where I also learned that there's really no cut or even action with Clint Eastwood. You just kind of go, and he's filming the whole time. And you never really know when he's stopping or whatnot. And so
it led to a lot of improv.
It led to a ton of improv. And it's really where I really learned the power of improv, which I suggest to every actor, get in an improv class. You have no idea how much this will serve your career. I think we've done 40 jobs together now, and in at least 30 of them, the director's been like, oh, just say something here, or just keep going and just, figure it out and work your way through the scene, and literally let me do whatever I want just to serve the scene. But you have to really be grounded in the scene, know what serves the scene, and then you have to know the difference between what serves a scene and what is just an actor saying shit to get more lines. Like, you really have to know the difference, and it all has to make sense. But it led to some incredible moments between me and Olivia. And I remember this one scene specifically under a streetlight. And it was supposed to be a 2-line scene, just one thing back and forth. And then because Clint never actually says cut, Olivia said something after my line. And then it definitely sprung a response for me. And we went back and forth for like a solid minute. Clint left that entire exchange in the movie. It wasn't even scripted or supposed to be there. It was just this kind of cute organic exchange between me and Olivia under a streetlight, and it looked really cool. And Clint thought that it worked in the film, and so totally got all this extra time in the movie with Clint Eastwood.
I mean, I love that. And it was because, well, what I really love is that you said every actor should take an improv class. And I'll tell you too, like improv is not always just about comedy. It's
Right.
about everything you just said about like understanding what's in the moment and being able to contribute in that moment. Like that's huge. And the fact that you learned that and executed it so well is 100% why it ended up in the film.
Yeah.
Because it made the film better. Or it would have been on the cutting room floor.
Exactly. And it definitely doesn't have to be comedy. It's really just you in the moment knowing what your role is, what the scene is, where the film is going, and is there a little something that might make it better? And then you're just making everyone's job easier at that point. And, and then you just wind up having a blast doing it, because there's just something about improv that is completely different than what's scripted, because it's words coming out of you in the truest organic form. So they always just look a little better on screen at the end of the day, because it's you talking in your real voice and in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I wish every scene could be completely improv, but
I remember doing an audition with you once, and you improv'd most of the audition for take 2, and it was so freaking good. Which just goes to show, like, you understand the character, you memorize the moments, not just the lines, and then you play.
yeah. And
You know?
you have to hit the beats. You have to, like, there's certain core moments, I think, in every scene. And once you hit those core moments, the rest can be just these kind of beautiful, dirty, messy in-betweens. And I think that's when you really see the humanity of a person, because so oftentimes in auditions, we say the lines, we're really proud that we memorized them, we get them out, and it becomes this kind of like clinical, your line, my line thing. But I've learned there's so much beauty in the mess that's in between all of that that's not written and can't be written, because it's really like what makes your person, your character, your actual soul come out through this character. And that's all like the little messy, dirty stuff. And I call it the messy in-betweens.
Oh man, if you're like me and you love these booking stories, then you know that to actually book the job, it starts and ends with a good audition. And Get Scene's Improve Your Audition Bootcamp is coming up. It's a 2-week event that spans over 6 workshops, all online, and we bring in 4 different casting directors to help us do this thing. We go over theatrical auditions and commercial auditions and give you different tactics and strategies to improve those self-tapes so you can do exactly what we're talking about on this show and book the job and actually get on set. So this is only $2 a day. $28 total, everyone. And if I can tell you a little secret, there's a discount in the pinned comments. So head there right now, and I hope to see you at our Improve Your Audition Bootcamp.
I know that you do. And actually, whenever I'm like doing a workshop or anything, I will quote you, man. And I'll be like, I've got this actor. He works all the time. He's booked like 40 credits in 5 years. And he calls it dirtying it up.
Yeah.
You know, you add hus and ums and hus, and you start to speak, but don't. And I think that that's genius, because we do that in real life. You know, on these episodes, I flub at least once or twice. Why? Because it's real life.
Exactly. And that's how people talk. We do talk over each other because we get excited at certain points. And like, it's just how humans interact. Like, I actually tell a lot of the actors that I work with, I'm like, film yourself at a bar one day. Like, put the camera up at the table if you're out to dinner. See how everyone actually talks. Is there ever like space where you're like, now your turn to speak? It just doesn't, humans don't interact that way. So it's like, I don't know why we fall into this trap when we audition, that we feel like it's got to be this really clean back and forth. Ironically, on set, you do have to do that sometimes, because the way it's shot, you can't really talk over other actors when it's their coverage because of editing. But in the audition, it's all about you, and it's all about you having fun. So pretend it's the wide shot, and you can talk over other people. You can have fun. You can be messy. And casting isn't sitting there with a script, like being like, oh, you didn't get that line completely right. You know, I do think if you're in maybe a medical drama or something, you definitely want to hit the lines a little cleaner than in other roles. But you kind of have to know when to break the rules a little bit. And I really think that's what can make an audition go from that was watchable to that was bookable. You know?
And which actually takes us back to this booking. I always thought that part of the reason you booked this larger role was also because of the relationship that you had built with casting. You had booked with them so many times, 2 to 3 years in a row leading up to this film, that they knew they could trust you with whatever role they threw at you. You had proven to them through probably hundreds of auditions
Literally hundreds of
and maybe
auditions.
20 bookings. Like, I will show up. I show up on time. I know what I'm doing, and I have no negative feedback.
Yeah.
From set, which is all huge. So like that relationship was established and built for years. But then I guess it was actually Clint that chose you, huh? Like
I think we'll never really know the actual process of what happens to an
That's
audition
fair.
once it's out of our hands.
It's always different.
It's always different. And you never really know who's watching the tape I mean, clearly Chase and Tara decided to push the tape forward, and then who saw it after that? From what I understand on set, just talking to people, Clint saw something in me that reminded him of the character, and that's how it just became this. And I guess because he saw that I could carry the AT&T guy role, that it was a solid scene that the AT&T guy had, but he just saw me more suited in this other character, and I couldn't have been more thrilled because that other character involved multiple scenes with, Olivia and Sam Rockwell, and it was just the most surreal experience of my life. And the coolest thing about it was that these giant movie stars were probably the most down-to-earth, normal people out of any TV show I'd worked on so far.
Love hearing stuff like that.
Yeah, because I can't tell you, ironically, that same week I was working on a TV show that had like a lot of ego going on, and it was very like pecking order, like, this is the celebrity, he's here, you don't talk to him. This is the producer, don't talk to them. You're the new co-star, you stay in your corner and don't speak out of turn. But I get to Clint Eastwood's set. He's worked with the same people for 20 years. His DP and his first AD, they've done every single movie together that Clint's pretty much done in, the recent history. And they all have this amazing bond. No one speaks out of turn. There was never a heated temper. Everyone was smiling and laughing and happy to be there. Clint works 8 hours, and that's it. Everyone calls him boss. He never says action, never says cut. Everyone just relaxes. And in between takes, him and Olivia would sit with me directly. Like, I don't know if you're aware, but on a lot of shows, the star of the show is sequestered in a totally different room.
Of course.
Clint is like, everyone is the same on my show.
Everyone's
And it was-
human first.
Everyone is human.
An equal part of the puzzle that's going to create the masterpiece together.
And that's why it comes out so good, because we're all just comfortable. Like, there's definitely sets I've been on where I'm uncomfortable being like, you are the low end of the totem pole and you're just here to do your job, which I will happily do. But you always kind of feel a little icky afterwards,
And it's so interesting that almost every Clint Eastwood movie that he's directed has been nominated for Oscars.
Exactly.
That gold is stemming from the top and trickling down the hill.
And he has this history of using giant movie stars, but also essentially nobodies, and mixing them together and making it work. And that's like kind of his brand. And I got to be a part of that formula. And it was just such an honor. And I mean, he had such like a dad type energy on set. Like, I was just relishing every moment, just talking to him. And I mean, we gave each other hugs on the last day. I have pictures with him. Like, it was just, if every set could be like that, that would be heaven. I've had a lot of positive experiences, but that was by far the best.
So speaking about just great experiences and stuff like that, I want to think about the future, like we're always concerned with what's coming next.
Yeah.
But I am genuinely curious, like, if you could have a dream role or book your dream role,
Oof.
like, what would it be?
That is such a hard question to
I know.
answer, because there's like so many different parts of my brain that want to be like, well, it would be really nice to just be on a procedural and then, be like a lawyer on a show, or like the dad on a show. And then you have really consistent income and you're not too famous where you can't go to the supermarket. It just seems like a nice actor life. So of course that's like the practical side of my brain. Like, I would love to be the dad on a Desperate Housewives or something like that, like a really cool Mark Cherry type show where there's drama and intrigue and sexuality and humor. But then, I mean, who wouldn't want to be the next Bane in Batman, So it's like, I'm always eyeing Tom Hardy's career for sure. And like the George Clooney's of the world. I just think there's something special about being able to be a charming leading man who can infuse humor in every role. And George Clooney just does that in everything. Watching George Clooney in Ocean's 11, I think was one of my defining moments in wanting to be an actor. I was like, his rapport with Brad Pitt in that movie, just doing this spy caper where they're all just like messing around with each other the whole movie. And you can tell that's how he is in real life. And that's how I am in real life. And I'm like, if I can find a way to merge who I am with who I want to be and get cast as that character, I think that's going to be gold for me someday.
Longevity, success.
Yeah.
I love the way you answered that too, because it wasn't so specific to one thing, but it was really the two sides. Like you answered it very realistically from a business standpoint.
Yeah.
And then also like you took the dream role literally with the dream of what I would like.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge for actors to wonder, like what can I do and what do I want to do, and strive toward both, strive toward all of it. But the specificity of figuring it out and knowing what might be available and what might make you happy is huge.
Well, and in the meantime, you just say yes to everything, and you do the jobs that you're auditioning for. Like, I don't know who's going to say yes to me. So it's like, if there's a role that I really just am like, I'm uncomfortable with this, I won't do it. But I haven't had that yet. And I, in the meantime, have been building this really solid resume of fun roles. And I have been putting it out to the universe that I love comedy. And anytime there's a role with humor in it, I just seem to do a little bit better of a job because I really want it. So ironically, this shirt is from the last comedy I did, which hasn't come out yet, so I can't say what it is. But I'm wearing it today because it means a lot to me. Like it's a piece from a set that I just really thrived on and really loved. And there's just something about working on comedies that are actually a lot like Clint Eastwood movies, where everyone's just in a good mood. There's never any meltdowns. Everyone's laughing. Everyone's having fun, and that's the kind of world I see myself wanting to be in, like where everyone's just having fun. And if you can get paid to have fun and make other people smile for a living, you're really living the dream.
I love that, man. You dropped so many gems today. I mean, the power of yes, the power of playing, the power of improv. It's huge. Thank you so much for being here, for giving your honesty and being so present and helpful for our viewers. It means a lot to me, and I hope it means a lot to many of them.
Well, thanks, man. I mean, you clearly mean a lot to me. You've changed my entire life. So I'm very grateful for you.
One day at a time together. It's always teamwork. It is teamwork.
It has to be. Yeah.
So, and what if I were to tell you that as a special thank you for being here today, you get a new car.
All right.
So in this
I will
bag
take
here,
it.
this bag from Sarah Carpenter, I want you to reach in without looking and pull out a car.
All right, here we go. My new car is,
What'd you get?
I don't even know what this is.
Should say at the bottom.
It's a truck. It's a Land Rover Series 2, all right?
Hell yeah.
I will take that.
You got a Land Rover
and
for
it comes
coming
with
in.
a surfboard. That's
Nice.
perfect.
Nice.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, too. Well, thank you for being here. To everyone watching, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to Jesse Malinowski and Get Seen for helping produce Talent Agent Talk. And if you have an exciting booking story with a learning lesson and you want to be a guest on this show, feel free to pitch us your story. Just send the info to talentagenttalk@gmail.com. Again, that is talentagenttalk@gmail.com. Look forward to hearing your inspiring stories, and thanks for watching. Thank you, David.
Thank you. Thanks, Jason.
Thanks again so much for watching. And if you loved that story and were interested to learn more about the casting office that actually cast that show, then I have some really cool news, because our sister show, Get Seen Unscripted, actually had them on the show. So you'll see it right here. Do not miss that episode. Over an hour on one-on-one with that casting director, talking about things that they like, don't like, to help give you the edge in your next audition. So thanks again so much for tuning in and watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you on the next one.